It's just a meeting, my mom said when I wasn't invited, to the one class I felt I truly belonged in. As the door closed, I heard laughter and applause echoing from the other side, as if my pain was invisible. That fateful afternoon, my friends' text messages came pouring in. "You won't believe it, Teresa, you missed out." It was 5 p.m. when I realized the betrayal was coming from those I loved most. Now, standing in front of the mirror, the reflection showed a broken girl, yet determined to rise again. My name is Teresa. I won't be invisible forever. I looked at myself once more, trying to understand the expression I wore. Anger, sadness, and confusion danced in my eyes, and I realized there was a strength inside me that wanted to scream. That moment of discovery about the class, that feeling of exclusion, wasn't just about an event. It was an open wound, a constant reminder that I wasn't the priority I wished to be. What hurt me most was that, despite her attempts to protect me, my mom didn't seem to grasp the depth of what was happening. I could hear her voice echoing in my mind, saying it was just a meeting, as if that could erase the anguish consuming me. I needed someone who could see my pain, who understood that my life wasn't merely a series of "it's just this" or "it's just that." Sophia had always been that person. She would show up with her radiant personality and her knack for making even the darkest moments feel lighter. I remember when she came over that day, her hair messy and a shy smile on her face. "Hey, Anna, want to do something fun today? I want to show you a new place." She had no idea what was going on, but her enthusiasm was contagious. I smiled, even if just for a moment, and decided I needed a break. "Sure, but there's something I need to tell you." Upon hearing this, Sophia immediately sat down beside me, her eyes shining with concern. "Tell me, friend, what's going on?" I paused for a moment, choosing my words carefully. "It's about the class I wasn't invited to. My mom doesn't understand how important this is to me. She thinks I'm being dramatic." Sophia's expression changed, turning serious. "Anna, you don't have to feel that way. We'll find a way for you to be heard." The determination in her voice was like balm for my wound. We talked for hours, and with every word exchanged, I felt lighter. Sophia suggested I write a letter to my mom, expressing everything I had bottled up inside. The idea felt daunting, but also liberating. "Think of it as a way to open a door, Anna. You don't have to be perfect, just honest." That night, I grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and began to write. The words flowed as if they had always been trapped, and I allowed myself to feel each emotion. "Dear Mom," I started, hesitating for a moment. "I feel invisible. To you, I seem like just a kid who doesn't know what she wants. But I have dreams, and this meeting was part of them." Throughout the letter, I laid bare my frustrations, worries, and, above all, my desire to be understood. By the time I finished, the weight I carried felt lighter. The next morning, I handed the letter to my mom. Nervousness washed over me as I watched her expression shift from curiosity to surprise. "Anna, what's this?" Her voice was laced with confusion, but I knew it was time to face what I had dreaded. "It's how I feel, Mom. I'm not just your daughter. I'm a person with dreams and feelings." Her reaction wasn't what I had expected. Teresa read every word in silence, and the tension in the air was palpable. When she finally looked up at me, I could see the internal struggle reflected in her eyes. "I just wanted to protect you, Anna." Her voice trembled, and I realized that while her intentions were good, the way she handled the situation only deepened my pain. "But protecting me doesn't mean ignoring how I feel, Mom." The argument took an unexpected turn, and the feeling of misunderstanding between us intensified. Roberto entered the room, sensing the charged atmosphere. "What's going on here?" He looked confused, but I knew his presence was exactly what I needed. "Dad, I'm trying to explain to Mom how I feel, but it seems like she doesn't understand." Teresa took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. "I just don't want you to get hurt."
But don't you see that by trying to protect me, you're hurting me even more? The silence that followed was almost deafening. Roberto looked between us, as if trying to find a middle ground. Maybe what you both need is to talk more, without rushing or judging. His words felt like a peace offering, calming the storm a little. With my heart racing, I realized I wasn't alone in this struggle. Through the confusion and pain, there was a path forward, and I was determined to find it. But for that, I needed courage, not just to express my feelings, but also to listen to what my mom had to say.
The battle was far from over, but it was just beginning. I decided that to truly make myself heard, I needed to find a balance. That day, as I walked through school, I reflected on everything I had told Sophia and the letter I had given to my mom. The sun was shining brightly and warmly, and even though my heart felt heavy, the light seemed to encourage me. I remembered how Sophia always talked about facing fears, and I realized I was only at the beginning of my journey. Later, I found Sophia in the cafeteria. "How are you feeling?" she asked, concern in her eyes. "I think I'm starting to understand what I need to do. It's more than just talking. It's about listening, too." Sophia smiled, her eyes sparkling with pride. "Exactly. Remember, it's a dialogue, not a monologue. You and your mom are trying to understand each other." In that moment, an idea sparked in my mind. What if we do something together? A day just for the two of us, where we can open up without interruptions. Sophia immediately agreed. "That's perfect. We can plan something fun, a way to break the ice." I started to imagine a picnic in the park, a quiet place where we could talk and connect. The fresh air and the sounds of children playing in the background could help ease the tension. In the days that followed, my excitement grew. The idea of spending time with my mom, away from arguments and misunderstandings, felt promising. Finally, the day of the picnic arrived. I prepared some snacks, and as I got into the car, my heart raced. The drive to the park felt longer than ever, anxiety mixed with cautious anticipation. When we arrived, the sun was shining and the park was alive with energy. We spread out a blanket under a leafy tree and began to eat. After a few minutes of silence, I finally felt ready. "Mom, I want to talk about everything that happened." Teresa looked at me, her eyes filled with understanding. "I'm listening, Anna." And so, with each word that left my mouth, I felt a new bridge being built between us. The dialogue that followed was filled with tears, laughter, and above all, a newfound understanding. I realized that while her intention was to protect me, I needed the freedom to grow, to fail, and most importantly, to be heard. Finally, in that moment beneath the tree's shade, love and pain began to intertwine, forming a bond that could unite us stronger than ever. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves as I tried to process everything that had happened between my mom and me. The sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink, as if the universe was reflecting the whirlwind of emotions within me. I knew I needed to talk to Teresa again, but I wasn't sure how to express the confusion I felt. The weight of expectation built up in my chest, and the need to be understood grew more urgent. That night, I decided to call Sophia. She always had the right words to calm me. When I picked up, the excitement in her voice made me smile. "Hi, Ana Clara, I was thinking about you. How are you feeling?" I told her I was still a bit shaken up, but I wanted to talk about what had happened. "Come over to my house tomorrow. We can chat and do something fun. That always helps." The thought of spending time with her lifted my spirits, and I agreed without hesitation. The next day, the sun shone brightly, and the flowers in Sophia's garden seemed more vibrant than ever. When I arrived, she greeted me with a tight hug, as if trying to transfer some of her positive energy to me. The sweet smell of the flowers, mixed with the aroma of fresh coffee wafting from the kitchen, enveloped me in a comfort I so desperately needed. We sat in the backyard, surrounded by laughter and stories, but I couldn't shake the pain that lingered. "You need to tell your mom how you feel, Ana Clara. Keeping all this bottled up won't help," Sophia said, her expression serious. I fell silent, reflecting on her words. She was right, but the thought of opening my heart to Teresa still terrified me. That day passed quickly, and the fun distracted me, but when I returned home, the anxiety returned. Dinner was ready, and the nicely set table seemed like an invitation for the conversation I knew I needed to have. Roberto was in the living room, animatedly discussing his day at work, while Teresa served the food with a calm demeanor, but I could see the worry in her eyes. My heart raced as I wondered if I could finally express what I felt. "Can I talk to you, Mom?" I asked, my voice trembling. She paused and looked at me, a mix of surprise and anticipation. "Of course, Ana Clara, what's going on?" Her tone was gentle, but I felt small, as if the words were stuck in my throat. I took a deep breath. "I don't understand why you didn't let me go to that class. It was important to me." Teresa's expression shifted slightly, and I saw a flicker of pain in her eyes. "I just wanted to protect you, dear." "I thought you'd be fine without it," she replied. "But that's not what I need. I need support, not protection that makes me feel invisible," I said, frustration spilling over. The table fell silent, and Roberto, sensing the tension in the air, tried to intervene. "Honey, maybe we can listen a little more about what Ana Clara is feeling. Let's sit down and talk." He had always tried to be the mediator, and in that moment, I was grateful for his presence. Teresa looked at me, and I realized she was genuinely trying to understand. "I didn't know this meant so much to you. I'm sorry, Ana Clara. I want you to know that I'll always be here to support you, even if I make mistakes," she said, her voice soft and sincere. I couldn't ignore the pain in her eyes. The love I so desperately wanted to feel was there, but it was covered by layers of misunderstandings and fears. "I just want to feel valued and for you to recognize my dreams," I said, feeling that I was finally being heard. There was a weight in my words, and when I finished, the silence in the room was palpable. Teresa wiped away a tear rolling down her cheek, and her hands trembled slightly as she tried to compose herself. "Let's find a way to do this together. I want you to shine, Ana Clara," she said, and the sincerity in her voice gave me a glimmer of hope. That conversation became an honest exchange of feelings, where both my mom and I revealed our insecurities. I saw Teresa's vulnerability, and that gave me the courage to continue. As we talked, I realized that despite our differences, there was a deep love between us that could overcome even the greatest obstacles. By the end of the night, the atmosphere between us had changed. Roberto smiled, satisfied with the new dynamic, and I realized there was a path forward. It wouldn't be easy, but we knew together we could find solutions that respected each person's desires and needs. As I lay down that night, I felt a mix of relief and determination. Now, more than ever, I wanted to explore my passions and not let fear hold me back. And above all, I wanted my mom by my side on this journey. In the days that followed, my relationship with Teresa began to transform. It was as if a new layer of understanding had been unveiled. When I saw her preparing breakfast, I felt a wave of gratitude. "Mom, would you mind helping me choose some songs for my presentation?" I asked one day. She smiled, a sparkle in her eyes. "Of course, let's do this together." The warmth of that interaction made me realize that small actions could create big changes. Meanwhile, conversations with Sophia became a refuge. She encouraged me to share more about my aspirations. "Ana Clara, you have an incredible talent. Don't be afraid to show it to the world," she said, full of enthusiasm. Sometimes I hesitated, but the confidence she had in me was contagious. Together, we dreamed about the future, and I began to envision a path where I could be not just a daughter, but the artist I had always wanted to be. One night, as I studied, the sound of music echoed from the living room. Teresa was listening to a song I used to love. The melody transported me back to happy moments of childhood when she would sing to calm me during storms. I approached her and found her lost in memories. "Mom, can I play a bit too?" I asked. She nodded, and as the music filled the room, I realized that art had always been a bridge between us.
Our dialogue expanded, and each note seemed to bring forth emotions that had been locked away. Through music, we expressed our fears, our hopes, and finally, our connection. By the end of the night, when the last note faded, I knew the road ahead would be filled with challenges, but also opportunities to grow together. Each day, I felt stronger and more capable of facing whatever came my way. And so, the story that began with misunderstandings and insecurities was transforming into a narrative of love, support, and reconciliation, where each step became a new achievement. After all, what truly mattered was that together we were learning to dance to the rhythm of life. With each passing day, I felt more connected not only to myself, but also to those around me, especially Sophia. Her presence was like a beacon amid the storm that had settled in my life. She always had a word of encouragement, a different perspective that made me see things in a new light. Ana Clara, you need to value yourself more. It's not just a meeting, it's your chance to shine, she would say, and those words echoed in my mind. As we talked, I realized that what I truly desired wasn't just to be part of a class, but to be recognized and valued for who I truly was. When I decided to confront my mom, my heart was tight. I knew Teresa was trying to do her best, but there was an invisible barrier separating us. It felt like I was trapped in a maze of expectations and fears, and the exit was right there, but I couldn't reach it. That afternoon, I decided I needed some time to think. I called Sophia, my friend, who always knew how to encourage me in difficult moments. When she arrived, she brought with her a sense of lightness that immediately made me feel a bit more at ease. Ana Clara, you need to tell me everything that's going on, she said, fixing her hair in a messy bun. The way she looked at me, with those eyes full of understanding, made me feel that finally someone was willing to hear my truth. It's about today's class, I started to explain, my voice a little hesitant. You know, the one I was looking forward to that I thought would change everything? I wasn't invited, and my mom, well, she doesn't understand how much this hurts. Sophia grimaced, empathy shining through her expression. Ana, you deserve to be in those places. Don't let what others do make you feel less. And if your mom can't see that, maybe it's time for you to show her. Sophia's words resonated deeply within me. It wasn't just about being seen. It was about affirming my identity and fighting for what I wanted. You're right, I replied, a new determination starting to form inside me. Maybe I need to be clearer about how I feel. I can't just wait for her to guess. A new idea began to take shape. I needed a plan, something that would help me express what I was experiencing without letting the conversation turn into another fight. As we talked, the afternoon turned into evening, and the stars began to shine in the sky. The atmosphere around us became increasingly magical, and I felt encouraged to move forward. After discussing a few approaches, I knew I needed a calm moment to talk to my mom. I think I'm going to talk to her again, I said, a mix of anxiety and expectation bubbling inside me. I'm going to tell her that how I feel is important and that I need her to really see me. Sophia smiled enthusiastically. Yes, and if you need me, I'll be here to support you, no matter what happens. That phrase gave me strength. After we said our goodbyes, I returned home with the intention of having an honest conversation with Teresa. The path to my house seemed clearer, and anticipation began to fill my chest like a breath of hope. As soon as I walked in, I found my mom sitting in the living room, engrossed in a book. I took a deep breath, trying to muster courage. Mom, can you listen to me for a minute? She looked up from her book and smiled, but I sensed a shadow of worry in her eyes. Of course, dear, what's going on? I hesitated, but the determination I had built with Sophia encouraged me to continue. We need to talk about today's class, about how I felt not being invited. Teresa's smile gradually faded. Anna, I've already talked about this. It's not the end of the world. You have to learn to deal with these things. Her response, while expected, felt like a bucket of cold water. I wanted to scream that it wasn't just about a class, but something much bigger. Mom, it's not just about the class.
It's about how I often feel invisible. I want you to understand that this is important to me." She seemed attentive, but her gaze still carried a defensive tone. "I just want what's best for you. Life is tough, and I want to avoid you getting hurt." I felt I needed to be clearer. "But Mom, protecting me doesn't mean ignoring my feelings. I need you to know when I feel sad or excluded. It hurts me more than you can imagine." The silence that followed was heavy, as if we were both processing the magnitude of what had been said. Finally, Teresa let out a sigh. "Maybe I failed to see that. It wasn't my intention to make you feel this way." The sincerity in her voice made me feel a mix of relief and vulnerability. "I know you care, but the way you try to protect me ends up pushing me away more." In that moment, I realized there was a path forward, a space where we could understand each other, but I also knew it wouldn't be easy. The relationship we had was filled with nuances and complexities, but both of us being willing to listen was an essential first step. "Let's try to find a way to understand each other better," I proposed, feeling that we were finally opening a door to dialogue. "I want to share my experiences, and you can tell me about your concerns too." "Yes, let's do that," she replied, with a glimmer of hope in her eyes. I smiled, feeling that despite the difficulties, we were beginning to build a safer space for our conversations. The road ahead would be long, but I was ready to face it, not just for myself, but also for Teresa. After all, love and understanding are built step by step. If you've ever been in a similar situation, share your story, and let's build a network of support and empathy together. When I finally sat down at the dinner table, the tension hung in the air like a dense fog. Teresa was quiet, her eyes fixed on her plate as she cut the meat into small pieces, as if each slice could bring some form of relief. Roberto, trying to lighten the mood, made a comment about his day, but his words seemed to float aimlessly between us. I looked at Sophia, who was accompanying me, and saw that she too felt the weight of the moment. What I wanted most was for the conversation to flow naturally, but the silence stretched on like a taut string, about to snap at any moment. After a while, I could no longer bear it. "Mom, don't you understand how important this was to me?" The question came out with a stronger tone than I intended, but there was no turning back. Teresa lifted her head, and, for a brief moment, I saw a flicker of pain in her eyes. "Ana Clara, it wasn't a matter of not inviting you. I just didn't want you to get hurt." Her voice trembled, but there was a firmness I hadn't expected. "Hurt? How can you say that? You didn't let me try." The frustration was palpable, and I could feel the disappointment of all my dreams slipping through my fingers. "That was my dream, and you just threw it away." Teresa closed her eyes as if trying to bear a physical pain, and I realized that her words carried a weight I didn't fully understand. It was as if behind every attempt to protect me, there was a deep fear of letting me fly. Roberto tried to intervene, but didn't know how to address the situation without making it worse. "Ladies, let's calm down and talk calmly," he suggested, but his proposal seemed futile amidst the avalanche of feelings unraveling in the room. Sophia, sensing the rising tension, tried to shift the focus. "Anna, did you remember you have the school project presentation next week? I can't wait to see what you've prepared." Her attempt was valuable, but I couldn't divert my mind from the conversation with my mom. "That doesn't matter right now, Sophia," I replied, with a tone that I wanted to be gentle but couldn't help it. I silently thanked her for being there, but my heart felt heavy. Instead of dispersing, the conversation took a different turn. Teresa raised her voice, visibly shaken. "Ana Clara, I just want you to have a safe future. I can't stand the thought of you getting hurt over something I could have prevented." Her words resonated deeply within me, and I realized that even in her failures, there was a genuine concern. "But what you don't understand is that this pain is part of growth, and if you don't let me experience these things, how can I know who I really am?" As I spoke, my voice began to tremble, and tears threatened to fall. The tension at the table grew, almost palpable, and I knew that what was at stake was much greater than a simple class. It was the struggle for autonomy, to be seen as more than just an extension of her expectations. I just want you to learn from your experiences, Teresa replied, her voice now softer, almost a whisper. I just want to protect you. The conversation took a new turn, and I realized that her perspective, though painful, came from a place of love. It was hard for me to accept because it felt like we were in different worlds, fighting for the same thing, a better future. I needed her to see what was at stake for me and how that opportunity could shape my identity. I need you by my side, Mom, I said, my voice now choked with emotion. But I also need you to trust me. The silence that followed was deafening, and a wave of regret washed over my mind. What I really wanted was for her to see me as a partner in this journey, someone who was seeking her own path, not just a daughter to be protected. Roberto was watching, realizing that both our words were rooted in a common desire for love and acceptance, but the channel of communication was blocked. He finally spoke up. Maybe what we need is a new way to communicate, to understand that growing up also means making choices and taking risks. His words brought a bit of clarity to the chaos, and I realized he was trying to build a bridge between us. I know it's hard, but I'm willing to try, I said sincerely, looking at Teresa. She nodded slowly, and for a brief moment, I saw a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Give me a chance to show that I can handle this, that I can learn, even if it means failing. The air around us seemed to warm with the possibility of understanding, and I wondered if we were finally beginning to tear down the barriers that separated us. Dinner continued, but the atmosphere was changing. We talked more, laughed, and although there was still some tension, there was now a new space for dialogue. That moment could be the start of a new phase, one where we could support each other instead of hurt each other. The journey wouldn't be easy, but as I looked at my mom's face, I realized we were walking together toward a clearer future, where love and understanding could finally prevail.